Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. This is Shawnee,
And this is Rhodey,
and welcome to Not Your
not your
Average
average church
Church
girls
Girl
podcast.
podcast. Tonight's episode is going to be about preacher's kids.
Preacher's kids. And let me tell you, I am an expert because I am a preacher's kid. I am a pastor's kid. And let me see, let me run down here. My father, mother, stepmother, and grandmother were all ministers.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I'm surrounded. And most of my friends that I've known most of my life, if their parents aren't preachers, they've been in the church forever. So
Wow.
I know
Wow.
better than most people.
Wow. Well, I'm not a preacher's kid. However, I am a preacher, and I can speak only from the perspective of my daughter, that she is a preacher's kid. And I can only tell you from her perspective how she feels.
You know what?
So,
We're not bad people. Your kids are probably worse than us.
well, why is it though that preacher kids, pastors' kids, bishop kids, why is it that do you think that you guys get such a bad rap?
I know why, because people put us on this impossible level of, well, you're the preacher's child, you're the pastor's child, you should be able to do X, Y, and Z. You should never mess up. And what kind of logic is that? Everybody messes up.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I said this last week. Um, if I didn't, maybe I said it in one of my videos that I feel like in general, when people know that you're a Christian, you already have a bullseye on your back. But then when they know that you're either a minister somewhere in the ministry or you're connected to someone like a child of a pastor, a child of a minister, it's like that bullseye even becomes even larger. It's like
It
people.
does.
Do you agree with this? I feel like people
Absolutely.
are just sitting back waiting for preacher kids or pastors' kids to mess up.
Yes, and that's why I have no problem telling anybody off. I don't. What you're
You
not going to
know,
do, what you're not going to do is have me up here on some unrealistic pedestal that, heaven forbid, I take more than one cookie from the dessert table. You're threatening to tell my parents on me, but you don't do it to anybody else's children.
absolutely, absolutely. I also find, and I think it also depends on the kind of church you go to, because
Yes,
I feel like sometimes if you belong to a church that's more like a family-based church, sometimes what I've noticed is sometimes when it comes to, if, especially if it's a family-based church, what I find is people tend not to talk about their family business or when their kids mess up, but they're quick to talk about someone else's child messing up.
absolutely. They never, a lot of times, my parents were not those parents. My parents were old school. We grew up at New Pentecostal on 8th and Monroe in Wilmington, Delaware. And we were said to be the most, the second most beat children in the church. We got beat
Really?
for, yeah, child, we got beat for everything. There was only one
Wow.
other family, and I'm not going to say their name, but they know who they are. There was only one other family that was said to be beaten more than we were.
Wow.
We
Now,
got in trouble for everything.
you deserved it, or was it just like blown out of proportion because of who
I
your
think honestly, I did have a smart mouth. Yes, I did. I'm not going to sit here and say I was this little angel child because I wasn't. But I would say
well, I can see that because
60,
even as an
I would
adult,
say 65% of the time, I probably had it coming. But the other 35%, I didn't do anything.
okay, okay, wow,
I'm not going to
wow,
sit up here and lie like some people would sit up and lie and say, oh, I didn't do anything. You're a liar too. We all did something. Now,
well,
don't,
I was
yes,
not
some
a
are worse
pastor's
than
kid.
others.
Well, I was not a pastor's kid. I was not a preacher's kid. Actually, I was not even raised in the church, to be honest. My mom was raised in the church, and she said she always said, whenever I have kids, I am not going to force my kids to go to church. And so she didn't. But I have to tell you something. Recently, I was just thinking about my life, and I was thinking about like the different pastors, not pastors, the different preachers in our church. And I was thinking to myself, like, and you may agree with me, Brody, you may not. I feel like I'm so different than all the other preachers in our church. And not saying I'm
Yes, I would
not different,
absolutely agree.
better.
And not in a bad
uh,
way. Not in a bad way. You are different.
right. And I feel like that way. Like I feel like I preach differently. I pray, and of course we're all different people. But I feel like I will put all the other preachers under one category, like on this side. And I feel like I'm on the other side by myself. And
Yes, because you're not the same type of preacher. I'd say that they are.
would you mind expounding on that?
Yes, because I think it's I'm just going to say you're a little bit more open-minded than some of the
Right.
other preachers,
Hmm.
because you have
I feel like I'm realistic.
please be realistic, because
Yeah, I
people will sit
think
up
that.
there, they walk into a church, especially a more traditional church like ours is a more traditional old school type of
Hmm.
church, and they're unwilling to look at some things like, okay, yes, I know what the Bible says, but you got to be a little bit more open minded.
Right. Right.
And especially when it comes to their children, people hold them to this weirdly impossible standard. Or sometimes, on the other hand, they let these kids get away with murder because their parents are ministers. I don't care.
You're right about that. You're
I don't care if
absolutely
your
right about that.
parents, I don't care if your parents are ministers. Come get your child.
Right. Right. And I think the worst thing is, um, and I'm quite sure it's like this in any church, when you're dealing with a child that's being unruly, disobedient, disrespectful, and the parents are in the church and they're not helpful.
No, and then when you pick the child up and throw them across the room, then you're a bad person. No, I have not thrown anybody's child across
We
the
are
room.
not abusing any kids at our church.
However, don't try me, because I will smack them.
I, on the other hand, will not smack anyone's child. I will go get their parents and I will try to walk away from them.
Now, I
That's
have
what I
gotten
would.
better. I have gotten better. I have said, come get your child. And I have said, you know what? I'm not even helping with this child anymore. They're your problem.
Listen, and I get that. I get that. So from a minister's perspective and having to raise a child, um, she feels like people, because she's my daughter, people automatically assume that she's just like me. And she hates that. Like she hates it. She says, "Mommy, I'm my own person. I am an individual. I am not Shaniqua. That's not my name. That's not who I am."
And
And
I
I
understand that too.
and she hates, she's like, I hate that they try to put me on a pedestal or try to make think that because when I was little I used to pray a certain way and they expect that I should still be praying like that now that I'm an adult, or I should be doing this because you in the ministry and because you're doing this online and doing that online, that I'm supposed to be fine. I'm my own person. That's not what God has called me to do. And she's like,
And
see
everybody is
you
not called to the ministry. Even some people
absolutely
now, even some people now who
who has
are in the
titles,
ministry
right,
may not be
was
called
not
to the
called.
ministry.
Well, can we talk about that? Because that's what actually took me so long to actually accept the calling on my life. I have this, well, it has gotten very small. I used to have this friend group called the Trinity Sisters. And initially it was about six of us. Now it's only about three of us. And um, I had one of the sisters in there. She used to always call me Rev. Rev. And I was like, why you call me that, girl? Stop calling me that all the time. She's like, because that's what you are. And I'm like, no, I am not. And so, because she would say that, and not so much of her, but I would have so many strangers, Rhodey, like no lie to you, would stop me in the street and be like, are you a preacher? Are you an evangelist? Are you a pastor? And I'd be like, no, 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 no. And so, although I thought I felt the calling on my life, I wanted to be sure that it was absolutely God calling me and not me listening to the voices of all of these different people saying that I should be in the ministry. So it
I
took me
understand
a
that.
long time. It really did because I didn't want to walk. I feel like there's some people that's walking in lanes and walking in territories that God has not called or chosen or purposed for them to be walking in. And I did not want to be that person. I want to walk in obedience.
I understand that completely because I was not called to the ministry, not in that way. I do a lot of music. I do a lot of community work. I'll do a lot of other things around the church, but do not expect me to be in the pulpit giving you a sermon. It's not going to
Right,
happen
right, right. And I just, and I don't know if this is only in certain churches this happens or if it happens across the board. That I feel like people assume if they hear someone speak and they spoke well, oh, you should be a preacher. Why?
Oh, yes, because
Or
they
if they
speak
heard them
well.
pray and they thought the prayer was nice, you're a prayer warrior. What? Do you really know what it entails to be a prayer warrior? You know what I
Most
mean?
people
Like,
don't. Most people don't
really, really. And I don't understand why is it that people are so in a rush to put titles on people.
because
My
it's,
thing
hey,
is,
everybody wants the corner office, but they don't want the
well,
corner office responsibility.
that hello. I've been a minister. I think I actually got my license in either. Okay, I think I got my license in 2013, but I actually accepted a call and said yes to God in 2010.
That's beautiful.
So, um, I don't know why anyone, God had to deal with me on this. Because anytime somebody tell me they're going in the ministry, and I'm always like, are you sure? Did God really call you into the ministry? And God had to deal with me, Brody. He had to say, listen, just because you're dealing with situations doesn't mean everyone else is going through these situations. Stop saying that to people. Because I used to be really concerned because I have to be honest with you. I don't know why people think it's glamorous to be in the ministry. And maybe for some people it is. I can only
It
speak
can
from my
be for some
perspective.
people
Right. And I can only speak from my perspective. Ever since I accepted a call to preach, I have not stopped going through. Like I've been going through constantly, like nonstop. So it has not been a bed of roses for me.
I understand that. And then coming back to being a preacher's kid, I know a lot of people whose parents are ministers and they are ministers. But I also have the same thing where the parents are ministers and the children are not only not ministers, not in the church. And I feel like kids like that get it extra bad.
I, absolutely, absolutely. I hear it so many times in church. They know better. They were raised in a church. Their parents took them to Sunday school. They went to YPHV, whatever the letters are that they say.
YPHA. Went to YPHA.
I'm adding letters to it. And my thing is, I had to learn this honestly. I think I've heard other people say, when I had my child really started opening my eyes and started teaching me. And I would say for me, it wasn't until she became an adult more, or like a late teenager, early adult to her adulthood, that I'm like, wow, she is starting to open my eyes to some things and make me realize, wow, she is her own person.
And she's just the sweetest child. Well,
I,
she's not a child, she's grown, but she'll always be my baby. And I just love her to pieces. She's a sweet, sweet young lady.
I
I
tried.
can't
I
say enough
tried.
good. I can't say enough good things about her.
Oh, thank you.
She's a person. No, she's a person that you really don't mind being around because some people, even church people, you're like, Lord have mercy.
Yes.
Your daughter is not one of those people. She's a very nice young lady, well mannered, always speaks.
Oh, oh, Rhodey, thank you so much for that.
I'm not gonna
Really,
lie on
like,
you, child, because we both know there are some children I would not say that about.
yeah. But I feel the same way about your son.
Oh, he knows I'm crazy. He knows I would knock him out. Yes, my son is grown, but he still knows I raised him the best I could.
Right.
So,
That's all I could do with her. Raise her the best I could. You know, there, like this is what I tell people.
and
There's
you
no
also have to
perfect
watch. Here's
parent.
another thing about preachers' kids thinking about that. You have to be careful. And you wouldn't think that you'd have to be careful with grown folks like this, but you'd have to be careful about who's coming and telling you that your child did something
Yep.
simply because they're the preacher's
Mm-hmm.
child.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Would you agree,
Absolutely.
Shaniqua?
Again, I can't really agree from perspective of me being a pastor or
No, I'm saying if somebody come and told you that your daughter did something when
a,
she was younger, and you're like,
actually, if I could be
my
honest,
child would not do that.
no, if I could be honest with you, no.
Now, from my perspective, it has happened to me before where they're like, oh,
Really?
Rhodey did X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, no.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's so unfortunate. That is really unfortunate. No,
And
I've never had
especially
a
because I
problem.
know me,
Somebody,
I know I have a smart mouth. I know I have a smart mouth. I've always had a smart mouth, but I tried not to be disrespectful because I came up in the era of, your parents would just walk up and knock you upside your head and nobody
right,
would say anything. You can't really do
right.
that as much now. But
Well, I think I told you a story about my
and
mom
on the
going
other
to
and on the
school.
other side of it too, if you know your child is horrible, don't sit there and say, oh well, that's just how kids are. Your child
Right,
is bad.
right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Correct your child. Correct your child. Because guess what? This is what people need to understand. If you do not correct your child, there's people in the street who don't care anything about your child.
At all.
And they have no problems not only laying hands on them, but they have no problem pumping steel in them. Not trying to be funny, not trying to be
No, you're telling the truth.
disrespectful, but they have no problem doing these things. Some people don't have any problems unaliving your child.
Did you say unaliving?
Well, that's what they always say on social media. So, so they videos don't get banned. They always say unaliving. So I don't know what's allowed on podcasts and what's not. So I said, let me just say unaliving. Yes,
Unaliving. Have we gotten to
yes.
this point in the world that we can't say someone will take you out?
Well, that may be okay to say. But my point is, if you don't correct your child at home, if you think everything your child does is funny or is cute,
Or cute?
I'm
It's
here to
not.
tell you, it's not. It's 9 times out of 10, it's not. Your child cursing at you is not cute. Your child fighting you back is not cute.
Absolutely not.
Whether you're a pastor's kid, whether you're
A
evangelist
missionary's
kid,
kid.
yeah, it does not matter. I don't care if you're a deacon's child. I don't care if your mama is just on the motherboard or on a choir. I don't care if your mother just cleans the church. It does not matter
It's not cute.
at all. At all. And another thing I feel like also with saints, if someone does come and tell you something and you know this person is more reputable, you know this person is not one of those people that just is a troublemaker, you
Says
know this
stuff just to
person,
say it.
right, if you know this person has good intention, they come to you and say, listen, I've noticed this about your son, or I noticed this about your daughter, or I noticed that they've been getting smarts with me or with this adult. You should, as the parent, should correct your child. You should correct your child. And if your child does not adhere to your correction, you may need to take further steps, whether that means to take away his or her phone, their iPad, their Roblox, or
Cut a
whatever.
switch. We gonna go old
Well,
school. We gonna cut a
listen,
switch.
that switch hurts. But
Yes, it does. Just
I don't know if
ask me
people
how
could
I
just
know.
switch anymore. I know
Ask
how
me
I
how I
know because
know.
I used to get beaten with them. My mom didn't play. My mom used to tear us up with the switch. I used to get the switch roadie. I used to get the extension cord.
A shoe. My mama hit. Yes, she did.
Let me tell you. And then she had this belt that she called Betsy. It was a leather belt. It's probably like three inches wide and maybe about 3 4 inches deep. Baby, when she said go get Betsy, before let me tell you, it's like your insides begin to tremble because you
And
know
let
what's
me tell
about
you,
to come.
everybody who's listening, everyone who's listening, who's saying, "Oh my goodness, that was abuse." It probably was, but guess what? We
It
knew
was.
it was abuse. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yep, it
I
was definitely.
I have I have whoopings I still can't laugh about. However, you you knew
Listen, I'm right there with
you.
you that I still get upset about.
I think about some of them. Some of them I deserve, but some of them I absolutely did not. But you knew if jail is worse than this, then I don't want to go to jail. I'm already getting my behind
Listen,
torn up at home.
absolutely. Well, my thing was, to be honest with you, again,
What's that?
I was not a preacher's kid. My mom didn't even send me to church. However, oh Lord, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
I really lost my train of thought about what I was about to
That's
say.
okay. Well, I'll say this. There are preachers' kids who, like me, I've had people tell my son, and my son is grown, "Ooh, Rhodey, I'm going to tell your son you did this and you did that." I said, "Tell him." Do you know why?
Wow.
I already told him. I'm not
Right.
like some of y'all out here trying to pretend that, you never had sex. Your child just floated down the river one day while you were at a church picnic. No.
Absolutely.
I would
Absolutely.
say 85 to 90% of the stuff that I have done back in the day, my son already know about. So if you're trying to come into, oh, guess what? X, Y, and Z. I told him. And I tried when I talk to younger people now, they may be in church or at work or whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
I try to be perfectly honest with them because I know from my upbringing, people would just flat out lie to you.
Wow.
Oh, if all you do is hold on, everything will work out. Well,
Well, that I'm sorry, and people say that up to this day, and this is coming from a preacher. That's a lot from the pit of hell because everything doesn't always work out.
it doesn't.
I mean, I'm just sorry. Everything does not always work out well. Like, I mean, really, it does not. Because
You could be
think about it,
prostrate
if
at the
that's the case,
altar.
praying for somebody to get healed, and guess what? God take them on the glory. Now, oh well, they got healed on the other side.
But
Okay,
that wasn't my
like,
prayer.
hey, thank you. Like, what? So sometimes I think sometimes, really honestly, I really think sometimes we are just so heavenly minded that some of us are no earthly good.
No earthly good. You won't talk about things that people need to talk about now.
And just be
Now
transparent. That's
you
why I
say
try to be
people
a transparent.
walk up to you. Yeah. You say people have walked up to you, asked you, were you a minister? I have
Hmm.
never been asked if I were a minister, but I've had people, strangers, walk up to me and just spill their guts. And thank the Lord I'm not the type of person to tell people's business because I have heard people very
I've
intimate details of their life
Yep.
that I should not know. But they'll come up and
I have
talk to
that
me
too. Absolutely. I've had that too.
because
And
they
it's
just
at
feel
first it's
like,
uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable and it's awkward.
yes,
You know what I mean? Because sometimes people really like overshare and you're like standing there and you're trying to, especially with me, I'm trying to look stoic because I know my facial expressions. So I try to just look like, wow, like I can't believe you're sharing all of this with me. Like you literally don't know me from Adam.
and you're just telling me all your business. And maybe I just have one of those faces, or maybe because I've heard it so much. Because, as a preacher's kid, sometimes you might be around the conversation, your parents may be talking to somebody, and back in my day, you would send kids away so they wouldn't hear adult conversations.
Absolutely.
But sometimes you couldn't be, because my father, he was the type of person, he would literally be the last one at the church. Everybody from the church had gone home, but he'd
Oh,
still be
wow.
talking to that one last person in the church. So you're stuck in the car, you're hearing all types of conversations. You can't
Oh,
just walk away. So
wow.
you like, okay, and so maybe it's from that. Maybe I'm just an empathetic person, but you're like, okay, I've gotten all this training all my life. I'm just going to listen to you. Now, could I be
Oh,
a
wow.
therapist? I don't know. 'Cause I don't.
I it's, you know what? I don't put anything past God anymore. That you said, I really don't put anything past God, because sometimes we'll be like, we don't see ourselves as such and such. I never saw myself as a minister. I had no desire to become a minister. I actually, even after I accepted a call, guess what I did, Rody? I
You
ran
ran.
from it. I ran. I ran to New York and went to stay with my mom for some months so the pastor would ask me to preach. I was so insecure as a minister, extremely insecure. I'm no longer that way. I'm now confident in Christ. And
Well,
I'm now
good.
confident in the abilities that He has given me. And I know that in general, my way of preaching, my way of praying may not be for everyone, but I do know this is for someone. And
Absolutely.
as long as it reaches that, whoever that someone is, I know God is proud.
I know he's
And
proud. Yes, he
and
is.
I try to be a very transparent preacher as well. I don't try to be one of those preachers that act like, oh, everything is always, peaches and cream, and all you have to do is have faith. And no, I'm not one of those
No,
preachers. I try to be very realistic and let you
because
know,
there's
yes, you're
sometimes you're
gonna
like,
go through some
Lord, what
stuff.
is happening?
Right. Like there's sometimes as a preacher, you feel all prayed out. There's sometimes where I feel
Absolutely.
like so drained that I'm like, I feel literally like how people say, oh, I'm all cried out. Times
Exactly.
where I feel like I'm all prayed out. There's times as a preacher where I feel overwhelmed. There's times as a preacher where I feel like, God, I just need some strength. And I'm one of those people, I'm not one of those people that I expect people to encourage me, or uplift me. I'm not one of those people. I don't know if it's because I'm used to doing that for others. So I really don't expect it to be reciprocated back to me. However, last year, what I went through with my sickness, there were a couple of ladies who um pretty much was just sending me a lot of encouragement. And I didn't realize at that time, until they started sending me the encouragement, how much I needed to be encouraged, even as a preacher. So sometimes people think because you're a preacher, or because, and I don't know anything about being a pastor, don't want to know anything about being a pastor, but anytime you're in any type of ministry, people think, oh, that you have it all together. People think that things never bother you. That's not true. We don't have we Most people don't have it all together. I don't have it all together. Most people are going through a lot of things. Sometimes people don't want to tell the truth about how sometimes your faith wavers. Sometimes it feels like you have to even start over with your faith to build your faith up. And I don't know, but Rody, from your perspective, if you ever seen your dad struggle with things, I don't know how long your dad was, probably a preacher or a pastor before you was born, but have you ever seen him struggle with those type of things, Rody? Rody? I think I lost Rody, so I'm going to continue to talk. As a minister, it's not always easy.
No, I'm still. Can
Um,
you hear me now?
yes,
Okay,
I
I'm
didn't
sorry. I
know.
don't know what happened. I didn't touch anything. So I can honestly,
Oh,
I didn't touch it. But my dad was not that type of person. He would basically tell you, your faith's not strong enough, keep on going.
wow.
So if he were going through something, you really wouldn't know it. But I'm the type of person, I don't care if you admit it or not. I would say, look, you need to sit down. You need to delegate. You need to do X, Y, and Z because people will wear you out.
You have told me that before, like with
I
programs
have
and
told you
stuff.
that before. Yes. Stop trying to overdo because at the end of the day, people will use you. Then your poor little limp body will
Mm-hmm.
hit the ground and they'll step
Mm-hmm.
right over you and go use somebody
Mm-hmm.
else.
Listen, listen. Say it louder for the people in the back,
They
because
will
that
use
is the
you. And
truth.
I will, because Shaniqua will tell you, I am the first one to say, I'm done
Yep. Well,
and
that's
walk
what I
away.
did. Look, I took a page out of your playbook on Sunday,
Yes.
honey. I would listen. I was out.
We were tired. Sunday, we fed, what was it, about 200 people? It seemed like it.
I listen, and not only did we feed, we have been down there cooking and cleaning and all. You,
And this is
those of
after
you
I
that
had
are in
done,
church,
yeah, this is after I had done praise team
right?
that
She
morning.
had to do praise team, all that. I was in the kitchen all day, and by the time I don't know, it was like 3 or 4 o'clock. I was done. I couldn't do it anymore,
But at
and
least
I
I
had
had
to
on
learn.
comfortable shoes.
See, that was my fault. I didn't. I had on boots. I had
At
on
least I
boots,
had
and
on very comfortable shoes. So I
that was
felt
my
much
fault.
better than I would have.
Oh, that's good. So,
Yeah, but some
um,
ministers, if you're anything like my dad as a pastor, you never got that, yes, you're tired. Yes, you need to delegate. And I try to quote the Bible when people come up and say, well, you never get too tired for the Lord. Excuse me. Jethro, who was Moses' father-in-law, told him,
hmm
you need to
yeah,
delegate. You
he
cannot do
certainly
this all
did.
by yourself. So when people say you can do it, you never get tired for the Lord. But I'm sorry, didn't Jesus go and sit in the cool of the garden when he was sick of folks?
Yep,
Yes, he did. So if Jesus needed a break, why do you think you don't need a break? You need a break.
absolutely, absolutely,
And don't let
absolutely.
anybody come tell
Make you
you,
feel
well,
bad.
you're make you feel bad. You're working for the Lord. You're the minister. You're the minister's child. You should work yourself into the ground. Guess what? I can't do it.
Because guess what you're gonna do? Work yourself into an early grave. Work
And they
yourself into
they
the hospital. Because what I've
mm-hmm,
learned, let me tell you what I've learned. When you're not there, someone else will
they
stand
will
up
do
and
it.
do it. But as long as you're there killing yourself, of course,
They'll let
no
you.
one's going. They'll let you kill yourself.
They will
So
let you
guess
take
what?
yourself out.
Those days of Shaniqua overextending and killing herself are over. They are over. I'm
And
older
I
now
yes,
and I'm wiser.
I will
And
help to
now
a certain comfort
I,
level.
I don't care how people feel about it. Like I used to feel bad that people go think, "Oh, I'm giving up. I'm being lazy. I'm not helping." No, no. I have to learn to put myself, not saying I put myself before God, but you have to learn to think about your self care. Because sometimes if I would have kept pushing myself on Sunday, what would have happened is my body would have been so beat down that I've probably been out of commission for a couple of weeks to a month. How is that being impactful to anyone? How is that being helpful to anyone? I have an online ministry. We have this podcast. I have my Shawnee's Prayer podcast. We both, Rhodey is doing a lot of stuff. I have a lot of things on my plate. I don't have time to be down and out. And everyone doesn't have to know everything that you have going on, but you know what you have going on. And so you have to learn to use wisdom and be like, nah, I did what I could do. I contributed where I could. I can't do anything any longer or any further. And I'm going to remove myself from the situation. and be okay with that. Don't allow someone to make you feel guilty. Because church people are good, but trying to make other people feel guilty. Do you agree with that, Rody? Rody? I think Rody is having technical difficulties tonight. So, don't allow anyone to make you
Here I
feel
am.
guilty. Oh,
I don't
okay.
know what. I didn't touch it. Maybe it just doesn't like me. I don't know. But I will agree with you fully where, yes, church people make you feel guilty. And this is my last point before we bring this episode to a close. The people who are trying to guilt you into working yourself into the ground 99% of the time will not help you.
Absolutely. Oh my
They
goodness,
won't,
that girl.
they will not help you at all. If you even say, could you please hand me that tray of cookies so we can put it out for people to eat? They will turn around and walk away.
Yep. 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 Or they'll look at you and go, oh sis, you look so tired. What? Of course I'm tired. I'm down here working and you just sitting down here flapping your jaws or
You
eating.
in
Like
church,
what do you
eating,
mean?
eating your third plate of food. We're not going to go down that road.
And your fifth dessert, but shut up, Shaniqua.
It is your fifth dessert. Somebody is on their fifth dessert and their third plate of food, and you haven't eaten yet. And they've gone to this church for years. And you always tell them, hey, I haven't eaten yet. We're closing down the kitchen. But I just wanted a little more of this or that. No, you're not getting
Hmm.
any more. No, we're done.
Wait, you guys, and no lie to you. She for real says that. Like she there's no exaggeration. She says it like she means it. Just how she said it just now, exactly
I,
how she says it in church.
we are closing down service.
Yep.
Nope,
That's what she said on
nope, we're not
Sunday.
feeding you. We're not feeding you anymore. Some of y'all have had 3 full plates of food. We haven't eaten yet. We're done.
You know what? The thing I love about Rhodey is she can say the things that I cannot say, or things
And
that
I'm
I
not trying to
wouldn't
be
say.
smart or special. This is just how I am.
And you know what?
And
God
even though
knew
I might yell at you, and please tell me if I'm wrong, Shaniqua, I might yell
mhm,
at you, but I'll be the first one to give you a hug too, if I
absolutely,
know you're going through.
absolutely,
And I'm not going to tell the
absolutely.
church I did it.
If she doesn't see me at church, she'll text me, "Sis, you okay? You feel okay?" Absolutely. Um,
So if you can't be up there just being extra to people, you do have to show the love of the Lord. But there's a little Paul up in me. I might, I might carry a little something. I don't know.
oh Lord. I would like to say there's no Peter or Paul in me. However, sometimes people remind me who my mama is, and they
And where are
said,
you from? We're not going to go down that road.
Yeah, yeah, and where I'm from." And I'm going to say this, and we're going to end. Recently, we did a Black History program, and we did this skit. Rhodey was a part of the skit, and it was like a reenactment of the Rosa Parks story. Well, let me tell you, I played Rosa Parks.
And she
People
went
said
rogue on me. Yes.
they said, "Oh my God." They said Rosa Parks would have said all that the way you said it, honey. She would have had her brains bashed in.
Yes, she was.
But
Because she
I
went,
was coming from the perspective of how she probably felt like what she probably felt like saying, but knew
she
she
was a
couldn't say
thug,
it.
Rosa Parks.
Yeah, well, oh my God. I don't like to call myself a thug.
No, but Rosa Parks was a thug, Rosa Parks.
Oh my gosh.
Because
She
that's
said
not
I
the story
thugged Rosa Parks out. Oh my gosh.
that's not the story I remember hearing. Because this Rosa Parks was a 2024 Rosa Parks.
Really, it really was. Because you know where it came from? Not just the Rosa Parks story. I think it also came from all of the stuff that we've been seeing like the last 4 years.
It's
So I
true.
think all of that was kind of built up, like all of the injustices and just everything we're going
The
through.
frustrations.
Yes, the frustration. So I just allow. And I received a lot of text messages. People say, you know what, thank you, because you guys really captured how people feeling, or how people are feeling and can't always express themselves. And I
Exactly.
was like, oh my goodness, thank you for that. That, that we were able to express that.
I mean, it was
But
fun because she went on her own skit, and I said, you know what, we're just gonna go with it.
and I didn't mean to. It's just the way it came out, and she went with the flow, and the other people who were part of the play, everyone literally just went with the flow. And but we thank you guys for joining us for the
Thank you
second
so much.
episode of Not Your Average Church Girls, the podcast. You can find this episode wherever you find your podcast, whether it's Apple, iHeart, or
Spotify.
Spotify. Yes.
Please
So
listen.
please,
Please like and share.
yes, yes, yes. Please download, comment, tell us what you think about the podcast so far. Tell us what you think we could do differently uh, with the podcast. And don't forget to share it. Share it with your homeboys. Share it with your homegirl. Share it with your sister and brother in Christ. Share it with your mama and your daddy. Just share it.
Please share
Because
it.
this is, I think it's a good podcast. And
I think we're doing good so far.
I
We are
think so as
swimming in
well.
uncharted waters.
Absolutely, absolutely. But here we are. Here we are. And just, I want to leave it on this. This is a testament for everyone out there that if you feel like you have a dream or you have a goal and you're like, I want to do this, I want to do
And you're
that,
scared because it's
and you're
scary.
fearful, or not even just that, the fact you're like, I don't have a team. Oh, I don't have anyone to help me. I don't know what I'm doing. Guess what? Look at us.
We
We really are
are
just flying by the skirt of our, well, how they say, the seat of our pants.
flying by the seat of your pants. Yes. We
And
are complete amateurs. We do not know what we're doing. We are trying to help. We're trying to inform, and we're trying to, look at it from a different perspective.
absolutely, absolutely. You get two different women who are both saved, but we have two different perspectives on life, on this Christian journey, and everything else. So we hope that you really enjoyed this episode of Not Your Average Church Girl. Don't forget to download it, share it, and like it.
We hope to
And
see you
until,
next week.
God bless you, and God bless you.